Last week, the Earth stood still and stopped spinning with the release of probably the worst movie this year we'll see, Borderlands. God rest the wallet of anyone who wasted money on that pile of absolute garbage. This week, the world was blessed with an actual great film, Alien Romulus. I like the Alien franchise. I haven't really liked a lot of what's been coming from this property, both in games and movies. The last Alien game I remember really liking was Alien Isolation. And the last movie I really remember liking, whoo-wee! That's, we're going back a couple decades. But I always have such a fondness for this property. Even though I keep getting fed shit, I can't even be mad at the chef. I'll briefly defend my position on that before glazing Alien Romulus, because I think the film is excellent. But Prometheus I've always been somewhat lukewarm on. There's things I like about it. I love the whole engineer idea. However, I just think overall the movie has so much silliness to it that it kind of ruins some really great concepts. Like the iconic scene with Meredith running in a straight line away from the spaceship that's tumbling at her like a tire. All she had to do was run left or right. It's rolling at her like a tire. It's not like a fucking tornado that's unpredictable. You know, it's not like a football running back who's all of a sudden going to make like a sharp cut to a side. All she had to do was run left or right, and she would have survived. Yet somehow this highly intelligent scientist decides to just run straight and then gets flattened by it. Even when it comes to crocodiles, they tell you to run in like a zigzag away from it. It was so stupid. I guess she thought it was like a heat-seeking missile coming at her or something. And there's other things, obviously, I could point to, but I'm not going to. I don't want to spend too much time on this topic. But Alien Covenant, I thought was just atrocious. I was very generous on the moist meter, which I regret. I should have been more harsh, because I didn't like it at the time, and I certainly don't like it now. I still remember thinking how dumb it was how these scientists arrive at this new planet, and the first thing they do is basically just strip down to their birthday suit. They come out there like they're spring breaking. Throughout the movie, they just make the dumbest decisions ever. You completely forget they're supposed to be smart people. Because it's like me on that planet. Like, oh, you're telling me I can breathe here? Oh, I'll just take it all in then with no suit. Like, not even thinking about like other possible problems with like pathogens or something. And again, I don't want to spend too much time on it. But there was a lot of things in Alien Covenant I thought were just terrible. There was a few things I liked about it. I still think David is a really cool character. But man, it's just fully unrealized potential with what could have been offered there. Anyway, though, let's talk about Alien Romulus now, because this film, I think, is fantastic. And it's such a breath of fresh air in this franchise. You're going to hear everybody say this, I imagine, but it's super true. This film really does take the series back to its roots. And multiple times while watching this movie, I was like, shit, that feels like what I experienced in Alien Isolation. And I looked it up. Apparently, the director loved Alien Isolation, and it was like a big inspiration for this movie. And that's amazing. Like, you can actually feel it. It's so good. So they actually make the xenomorph scary again. Who would have guessed that that would be a successful formula? So it takes a less is more approach with this movie, where it's not just shoving xenomorphs in your face every possible opportunity. Towards the end of the movie, I don't want to get into spoilers. They show you a lot more towards the end of the movie. I'll say that much. But for most of it, the main things you're seeing are face huggers. Like, that is the main problem that this small crew is dealing with. So the story is this small crew looking to get off this planet, find a potential out with this derelict ship that's above their planet. And when they arrive, things get hairy. It goes tits up quickly. Blood and gore all over the place, as you would expect. And it's quite a pickle they find themselves in, unable to leave the ship because of so many things going wrong, and they're on a very tight timetable before imminent doom. Xenomorphs and all kinds of other things. And I really like that it's so... I don't want to use the word small because it's not small, but it's not like Alien Covenant or Prometheus. This is all taking place in a single spot. This ship. It feels much more claustrophobic. It focuses much more on building tension. This movie does a great job of building tension. I am super pleasantly surprised, because I thought it would probably just be a bunch of people getting, fucking insta-gibbed like it's TF2 by these xenomorphs as often as possible. That's not the case with this movie at all. They really let shit simmer, and it is so nice. Now, one thing I think this movie doesn't do very well is its characters. It's a small crew, so I really thought they'd have ample opportunity to flesh them out to make you care. Because if you don't get invested in the characters, you just don't really care. You're just kind of waiting for them to die in a pretty flashy way. So most of the characters I don't think are interesting. In fact, a couple of them you just can't care about at all. You know they're going to die, and you're just waiting for how. And then the other ones are just kind of bland and not fleshed out. However, I do like the main character, Rain, and I do like her friend, Andy. I don't want to get into too much detail about their relationship, but it is a very interesting dynamic that I think is super, super strong. I cared about both of those characters, which is great. I just wish I would have cared about all of them, at least to some degree. Which I understand is a difficult thing to do, especially in a movie like this, but I just remember, and maybe it's just been too long now, but I remember in the original Alien and Aliens film, I got a lot more from the characters, so when I saw them in peril, it was more of an investment, and it just helped amplify the intensity of the scenes. But again, it's not like I think the characters are bad here, and they're certainly better than Alien Covenant and Prometheus, aside from a couple of exceptions. So it is an improvement for sure. And I really do like Rain and Andy. I think they were great. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about that, but I'm not going to get into spoiler territory. But it's something that I think is unique and very well realized for the movie. I also really appreciated that the characters aren't lobotomites. It's about time. It's been too long since an Alien movie had characters making smart decisions. In fact, there's really no moments in this film where a character makes a bad choice or a choice that doesn't make some level of sense. Every character here is making smart choices, even the ones that I expected to just do something super stupid. Off the top of my head, I can't even think of anything dumb. The only choices that were made that weren't optimal were the ones that were made under, like, intense duress, so it makes sense. There's just not a lot that I disliked about the movie. There are some specific scenes that I thought were pretty weak. You know, there's one in particular I really want to talk about. This is going to be a quick spoiler. It is a big spoiler moment, though, so fair warning, but I have to mention this, because in the theater, I actually did this right here. I actually hit one of these, because it was so weird and out of nowhere. There is a scene towards the end of the movie where zero gravity has been activated and they need to go up. So Rain and Andy jump and they're going up. However, there is a gravity purge coming where what happens is it's going to turn gravity back on shortly. And they're getting like a countdown letting them know that it's coming. So Andy and Rain they've propelled themselves upward. They're extremely high up, going up an elevator shaft. And Andy manages to grab onto the ladder right before the gravity purge kicks in, reigniting gravity. Rain, however, is a little too far away, so she's unable to grab it, and gravity flicks back on, so now she's starting to fall. She's plummeting back towards the bottom of the ship through this elevator shaft. It's terminal velocity. She's going to die unless something happens, but Andy can't do anything. He's way up on that ladder, so she's falling, and it's absolutely going to kill her. And then out of nowhere, a xenomorph with its fucking tail stops her fall, grabs her, and brings her to the side. It saves her life. The xenomorph saves her life. The fucking thing was fishing for like a Good Samaritan award or something. And then it like brings her up to it and kind of just, they stare at each other, and then it yells at her. It starts screaming like in, classic xenomorph fashion, but it saved her to do that. And that gives Andy ample time to come and kill the xenomorph, which, of course, gets her out of danger. But I don't understand why it did that at all. Like, it was damaged because it had been shot earlier, so I kind of surmised that maybe it was like revenge. So the xenomorph really wanted revenge, and instead of just letting gravity kill her, it wanted to do it. I think that's what it was going for. But in the moment, I was like, wow, is this like the first friendly xenomorph or something? I thought I was actually going to start speaking to her, being like, run, or something. Like, I thought we were going to go in like a totally different direction, because it was so out of nowhere for the xenomorph to save her life. To, I guess, try and kill her itself with its own, 2 hands. It's just a really bad scene, I think, actually. I thought it was really dumb. It just felt like they had written themselves into a corner. Like, it's a really cool scene, a really intense moment with them trying to get to the ladder right before gravity kicks back on, and she doesn't make it in time, and there's really nothing that can save her. There is no outs until the xenomorph comes out of nowhere to do it. I just thought it was stupid. I really did not like that scene. There's also a couple of other things there, like throughout the movie, that I was like, ooh, not the best work on that one. But overall, I really enjoyed it. So that's the end of the spoilers. I'm not going to get into spoilers again, but I had to mention that. I really did. I don't know if anyone else has mentioned that at all. Maybe I'm super dumb and didn't understand something about it, but that scene I was not a fan of. The rest of the movie I am, though. I love the tension building. I love that they finally made the xenomorph scary again. I love a lot of the set pieces. It is just a really great movie. Even if you don't like the Alien franchise, I actually think you'll still just like this movie in general. This movie stands on its own two legs just fine without just like fan service for previous movies or anything. It's just really good. There's jump scares in here, which I definitely didn't expect, and the jump scares I didn't think were cringe or anything. They were well utilized. There's also something towards the end of the movie that really caught me off guard. So I imagine some people probably might be put off by this, but there's a couple moments where the movie could have ended and it would have been a fine conclusion, but then it goes forward to bring even more danger and even more like stakes, and I actually really like that. So you never really get to, relax. You just keep getting more and more, rough situations, and how the fuck are the characters going to deal with this? And it's really good. I just thought Alien Romulus was an absolute treat. If I was to plug it in the moist meter, I'd give it like a 82%. Great movie. I was very happy to see that there's some potential here for some good Alien movies going forward. It's lovely to see people start to realize that. That's about it. See ya.